What do you do? You're not an engineer. You're not a designer. You can't put a hammer to a nail. I built the circuit board. The graphical interface was stolen. So how come 10 times in a day, I read Steve Jobs as a genius? What do you do?
Musicians play their instruments. I play the orchestra.
Your Steve Jobs has come out, I think a lot of people think, as quite a jerk, actually, quite unpleasant. Is that? I mean, that.
I think that's unfair. I think Michael's portrait of him is uncompromising, and what's extraordinary about his performance as well, and obviously Aaron Sorkin's writing of it, was that you were not shielded from the extremes of his character. There are many people who would testify to great devotion to him and to huge inspiration that they gained from him, and other people who felt they were very damaged.
You're issuing contradictory instructions, you're insubordinate, you make people miserable.
What about you? Are you like a gifted, nice genius, or are you a bit of a shouter? You know, you put together an opening ceremony for Olympic Games.
I had to do a little bit of shouting with the International Olympic Committee, but anybody, no matter what kind of person you would shout at the International Olympic Committee at some point. They say with film directors that there's a low animal cunning goes on as well, no matter what your approach, that actually you're often there are things that you're after, that you'll do anything to get at, and there needs to be many differentiations of the way you get them from people. But I believe in an honesty. I try to be honest with people, and that, I think that does bring the best out of them.
It's a system error.
Fix it.
Fix it?
Yeah.
We're not a pit crew at Daytona. This can't be fixed in seconds.
You didn't have seconds. You had 3 weeks. The universe was created in a third of that time.
Well, someday you'll have to tell us how you did it.
One of the things the film has attracted is a bit of an argument about how far a movie about a real guy can bend the facts and take dramatic licenses in order to make a great narrative.
I think it comes partly out of a despair at how unreliable facts are. And so what you end up developing, if you're dealing with real life, is you end up developing a sense, and listen, this is not going to stand up in a court of law, but it's the bullshit sense where you go, it's the bullshit detector that goes, I don't believe that. You get that nightmare with actors where they go, I don't think my character would behave quite like this at this moment, which fills you with, it's horror moment for a film director. You think, oh, how long are we going to be here? But actually it's very important, because it's an internal moral sense that you think we are being honest here and respectful.
You were riding at that spot on a long lens looking that way.
Have you been annoyed at the argument that's raged around the accuracy, the historical accuracy?
No, I think it's actually one of the reasons that I did the film, because I think that a corporation like Apple is so powerful now, so influential around the world, that it's crucial that writers and artists tell the stories that they don't necessarily want you to tell. I don't mean that you're kind of digging out stuff about them that's unacceptable behaviour-wise or anything like that. That's a journalist's job. But you actually do tell stories about how it has happened that this company that was born in a garage, 40 years ago, it dominates the world now and is richer than virtually all countries on earth, apart from a few dozen,
Do you feel like a Hollywood insider now? You won an Oscar, Slumdog Millionaire, but you're kind of like an independent filmmaker, really, aren't you? Are you a Hollywood person now?
No, we're not really. This is the first script I've ever done that we didn't generate ourselves, really, here in Britain. But then we made this film and we lived in San Francisco to make the film. And I kind of understood, really. It's an extraordinary town. And I come from Manchester originally, which had a lot to do with the first Industrial Revolution. And it's weird working in a town that is a modern Industrial Revolution, like the updated version of it. You've got a sense of potential and of how things are changing, literally overnight. Things are changing in front of you.
It's 3 years since the Olympic opening ceremony now. Everyone said Danny Boyle produced a statement of our country that most people thought, this is rather good, we're proud of this. And it was a sort of statement of a modern nation at ease with itself. I just wonder what you think about the state of Britain.
We're so self-critical normally. We're always in a state of total self-criticism. And the Olympic opening ceremony was a chance to say, behind that, there's a sense of a progressive, decent country that that lies there for all of us, and we can encourage it, which I think is all you can do.
And has there been any dent in your view of Britain as a country which is free and which has these core values? I mean, the debate over migrants this summer, for example.
Oh, I think I think any hesitancy about resisting refugees coming to this country just denies the very nature of what the country's built on. I mean, you know, we've always had a noble tradition of being a refuge for people who, for whatever reason, are under threat. And I think that's part of our national identity, what makes us a great country, really.
Where are you on Jeremy Corbyn? Are you filled with the joy of a new politics, or are you filled with the horror of a man who you don't think can win the next election? I mean, which of the various narratives about Jeremy Corbyn do you? Which one do you?
Should we do a biopic of Jeremy Corbyn? No, he's obviously a very admirable man, and I admire his, you know, the way that he has maintained his own personal principles throughout his time, which he clearly has done. Obviously, your only concern is that in the sway of things, by the time the back and forth has finished and you arrive at an election where you actually have to make absolute decisions, is will the Labour Party remain a proper force that can be a government, really?